Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you all are doing great. I hope you all are safe out there, and I hope you all are staying at home, taking your studies, your education seriously. As you know that unfortunately again on-campus activities or lectures we couldn't continue them because COVID-19 is spreading so fast. People are actually sick. So that's why they told us to switch from on campus classes to to online classes. So this time the procedure is this: per week you will be getting two recorded lectures, and what we'll do, you will listen those recordings, and you will try to figure out or understand whatever the teachers are teaching you. And once a week we'll be having interactive session where you will be telling your queries or issues, or we'll be discussing the same topic again. So and once a week you'll be having the quiz, whatever the topic you will be covering or finishing, you'll be having quiz for that particular topic, so that we can assess whether you are able to understand or learn whatever teachers are teaching you or not. So this is all about the new format is you'll be getting two recorded lectures per week, and you will be actually what we can say, you will those recording lectures will be posted on your Google Classrooms, and you will listen them. You will figure out. You will write. You can write it down. Write down the issues you are having and queries you are having, so that we can discuss an interactive session. And then a quiz would be taken per week for checking your assessment. The days of the quiz would be I'll be sharing with you soon. I have actually asked your CR when you all, sorry, about your availability. So we'll discuss it. Today we'll start our next concept, that is subject verb agreement. In the last class, we did paragraph writing. So a subject verb agreement will do, and before sharing slides and before telling you what subject verb agreement is, I want you to watch a short video, because whatever we watch, its impact is far better and bigger than whatever we actually listen. So I want you to watch this interesting video on subject verb agreement, and then I'll teach you what exactly subject verb agreement, what are the rules subject verb agreement are having, and how we can sorry, implement those rules while communicating in English language. So here we go.
Subject verb agreement. Martha works from home. Martha is the subject because she is the person that is doing the action. Verbs are action words, so work is the verb. The subject and the verb of the sentence must always agree for the sentence to be grammatically correct. Martha is a singular subject, so the verb must be singular. Therefore, you need to add S to the verb. Martha works from home. Frank and Eva fly to Spain in November. Frank and Eva are plural subjects, and the verb is to fly. With plural subjects, the subject and verb must still agree. So when the subject is plural, you don't need to add S to the verb. So Frank and Eva fly to Spain in November on business. So if the subject is singular, the verb should be singular. And if the subject is plural, the verb should always be plural. The problem is, not all verbs are used in a regular way. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Some of the most common verbs are irregular, such as be, go, do, have. Verbs and subjects must still agree, but you have to remember the way that regular ones work. Look at the correct verb form in third person, singular, for these irregular verbs. For example, I go to the local shops every day. However, my neighbour goes to the supermarket once a week. My puppy Alfie has soft fur. Oh. But these kittens have even softer fur. So remember to always make your subject and verb agree. Well done. Thank you for watching. Bye.
So, students, this was a slight or brief introduction of subject verb agreement, and now I'm gonna present the slides. Actually, the purpose of showing this video is you will have slight knowledge about subject verb agreement, and then it would be easier for you all to understand what are the rules of subject verb agreement. In today's lecture, we'll definitely study about subject verb agreement rules, but first of all, we should know what actually subject verb agreement is, what is a subject, what is a verb, and how we can keep this thing in mind, whether the subject is agreeing with the verb or whether the verb is agreeing with the subject. So let's get started. First of all, what is subject verb agreement? If I'm going to read the slide so that I can elaborate after reading it. Subjects and verbs must agree with one another in number. For instance, if your subject is singular, your verb it should have singular. You should have used singular verb. And if the verb subject is plural, then goes without saying your verb would be plural. Thus, if a subject is singular, its verb must also be singular, as I told you just. If a subject is plural, its verb must also be plural. So, but as we watched in the video, they explain this thing beautifully that it's not always necessary. If your subject is singular, then the verb would be singular. So in some cases, while we'll be studying these rules, there are things a bit tricky and difficult, and not everybody can understand, or not everybody can follow these rules until and unless you need to pay a lot of attention while studying these rules. So, first of all, let's talk about what actually a subject is. Since childhood, we have been talking about subject, predicate, verb. So, subject is a person or thing or the idea that is being discussed, described, or dealt with. For instance, Aisha eats mango. Now, Aisha is the subject in the sentence because she's a person and she has been described or discussed or dealt what actually she is doing. Eats mango. Now, our subject is Aisha, right? This is, as we said, that as in a sentence, a subject is a person or thing or idea that is being discussed, described, or dealt with. On the other hand, what actually verb is? Verb is an action we also call them action words. Verbs are actions and action performed by the subject or state of being. For instance, Ali plays football. So in this state, in this sentence, plays is an action, and Ali is the subject because action is performed by the subject. So Ali is performing what action? He is playing. So if we see this thing, it's a rule in English language. When the subject is singular, so you will add s or es with the verb, right? And if the subject is plural, you will add, you won't add s or es with your verb. So subject verb agreement basically means that you need to carefully choose your verb as per the requirement of your subject. If your subject is singular, goes without saying you will use singular verb. If your subject is plural, goes without saying you will use plural verb. But there were many rules of subject verb agreement. We will try to cover them up in one lecture, but if we can't, so we will continue with the next lecture. I want you to have a proper understanding. So as much as we'll try, that we'll do few of them so that you can have proper knowledge about those few rules, and then in the next lecture we'll try to finish rest of the rules. There's no hassle. What I want you to have better understanding about these rules. Okay, so let's start with rule number one. Basic principle is singular subjects need singular verbs, plural subjects need plural verb. The most common example, the most common rule of subject verb agreement is if the subject is singular, as I told you, they need singular verb. If the subject is plural, then they need plural verbs. So example, my brother is a nutritionist. Now, first of all, the most important and for most important, for the most important, sorry, the most important thing for you all is to identify the subject. Until or unless you won't identify the subject, you won't be able to select a proper verb for that subject. Now, the subject, what is the subject? My or brother? Actually, brother in this sentence is a subject, and now word brother, the subject is singular. They haven't mentioned brothers. So your verb is. So you wrote my brother is a nutritionist rather writing my brother are nutritionists. If they would mention here my brothers, then you will add are, and as they have mentioned the singular subject, so we will write the singular verb, that is in this sentence. Is verb and brother is subject. Now the second sentence is my sisters are mathematicians. So, my sister, first of all, what you need to do, you need to identify. That's the first thing you need to do if you want to learn how you can, learn the rules of subject verb agreement. First of all, identify the subject. So, in this sentence, your subject is sisters. Now, word sisters is a plural word, so you will add plural verb with it, that is are. You cannot write my sisters is mathematicians because sisters, your subject is plural, so you will write are is a plural verb. I hope things are clear. Rule number one is clear. It's very simple. It is having, less complication. So, in the next rule, what we'll do, the second rule is two or more singular nouns or pronouns joined by and require a plural verb as. Since childhood, we have been taught this thing that when we're talking about two things, as we watched in the video, that both girl and a boy, they both will catch the flight or uh, um, are flying for business. So and is there, and we are talking about, so you need to see that how many objects are there. So they are saying if there are two or subjects, sorry, how many subjects are there, you need to check how many subjects are there. If there is one singular subject, again I'm repeating myself, you will choose singular verb. If your subject is plural and they are joined by the plural example I have given you, there are two types of plural subjects. The one, my sisters, in this way, and the other type is by adding and, right? So they are saying when when two pronouns or nouns are joined together by adding and, so your verb would be plural. For instance, gold and silver are precious metals. First subject, identify your first subject, that is gold. Your second subject is silver. And we have joined these two subjects with word with conjunction and. Now we are talking about two things, gold and silver. Now the subject is plural, so our verb is are, because you cannot write is with two subjects. So gold and silver are precious metals. Then the next example is fire and water do not agree. Fire, one subject, water, other subject joined by and. So we are talking about two things, fire and water. So rather writing does not agree, does is a singular verb. So we will write do not agree, as do is a plural verb and our subjects are plural. Knowledge and wisdom have oftentimes no connection. Again, knowledge is one subject, wisdom is another subject, they are joined by and. So rather writing verb has is a singular verb. uh, for instance, if they have written knowledge has no comparison, then you can write, because knowledge is singular. But here they are talking about two things, two subjects, knowledge and wisdom. So rather writing has, you will write have, because have is a plural verb. Are your father and mother at home? Now, not it's not necessary that your subject would come, always come in the beginning of the sentence. So are your father is the subject and mother is another subject, and both are joined by and. So what you'll do, your verb would come in the beginning as it's a question. So rather writing is your father, you will write are your father and mother at home, because we are talking about two subjects. So your verb, as it's an interrogative sentence, so it's a question, so you will write verb first and then you will form the whole sentence. He and I were playing, right? Two subjects again. Pronouns, they have used here pronouns. He and I, father and mother is also pronoun. He and second subject is I. Now two subjects are there, so rather writing was, they have written were, because two subjects means plural verb. Rather, if we will write he and I was playing, so that is grammatically incorrect. Your subject is, your verb isn't agreeing with the subject. So verb subject verb agreement means when your verb and your subject, if your subject is singular, your verb is singular. If your subject is plural, your verb you should use plural verb. Okay, rule number 3. If the nouns suggest one idea to the mind, I hope first two rules are clear. If the noun suggests one idea to the mind or refer to the same person or thing, the verb is singular. Now that's here. Now you can say the tricky things are coming up now. We said when the subject is joined by and, you will use plural verbs, right? Here they are saying sometimes it happens that two nouns or are joined together with help of and, but we consider them one unit. Now here come, now things are becoming little tricky. Again, I'm repeating myself for your better understanding that time and tide, for instance, time and tide, we consider it whether we are using and, but we consider it as one unit, time and tide. So when we consider these two things as one unit, not all the, you can't consider all the things as one unit, as they are considered as one or referred as the same thing. So what will they do? We will use singular verb with these sort of nouns. Time and tide always, they people always consider them one and talk about them at a time, so we don't consider them as plural. So when we don't consider them as plural, so we consider them as singular. So our subject in this sentence is one, that is time and tide. And as we consider it as one unit, so we will add s with weights, that is verb. As I told you that when the in simple present tense you will add s or es with singular if the subject is singular. So time and tide waits for no man. We consider it, time and tide always comes together and people consider it one unit in English language. So we will use singular verb with them, that is waits, by adding s. The horse and carriage is at the door. Now horse and the carriage, they again we consider them as singular. So rather writing the horse and carriage are at the door, we will say horse and carriage is at the door, because carriage is connected with horse and they both are always together. Bread and butter is his only food. Bread and butter, in English language, we always use these two things together, bread and butter. So, bread and butter is his only food. You will not write, as per rule of English language, you will not write bread and butter are his only food. That would be counted as incorrect. Then honor and glory is his reward. Honor and glory, they both are, you know, two ideas having, they both are two ideas, and they both considered as one. They both are having they both are considered as one, honor and glory. So we will not write honor and glory are his reward. We will say honor and glory is his reward. The novelist and poet is dead. The same person was novelist and the same person was poet, so we'll consider it as one and we'll write it as one unit, so we will use singular verb. Now don't get confused between this and thing. If you'll read the exam, if you'll read the description, they have written, if the noun suggests one idea to the mind, time and tide, it's suggesting to the one idea, same idea. And time, it won't wait for anyone. Tide, waves, they won't wait for anyone, right? Or refer to the same person or thing. The horse and carriage. Now, horse and carriage, they are referring to the same thing. Horse and carriage, they always go together. That's why. Bread and butter. Again, they are referring to the same thing, one thing, similar thing. Honor and glory. If you have glory, you will have honor. So again, they are referring to the same idea, or we suggest it, or we consider it one idea to the mind. The novelist and the poet, he was the novelist and he was the poet. So again, this thing is suggested, novelist and the poet is dead. So I hope that things are pretty clear so far. Now moving on to the fourth rule. The indefinite pronoun anyone, everyone, someone, no one, nobody are always singular, and therefore require singular verb. Examples: everyone has done his or her homework. Again, I'm gonna read the rule description. The indefinite pronoun. Always remember, students, I told you this thing in the class. Words, indefinite pronouns are those pronouns which are having one buddy, somebody, anybody, anyone, anybody, somebody, someone, everyone, no one, one of the girls. These all words are known as indefinite pronouns. When you are using indefinite pronouns, we are counting all, if we're talking about anybody, everybody, everyone, we are counting them as one unit. So remember, the words, the indefinite pronouns are anyone, everyone, someone, no one, nobody, somebody, anybody, everybody. So these words are, these pronouns are known as indefinite pronouns. So with these pronouns you will write singular verb. When we are saying everyone is present, we are considering everyone as one unit. So rather saying, and people in Pakistan, we make this mistake several times, we used to say everyone are present. Oh, it's wrong. Everyone is one unit, is singular verb, we'll consider it singular subject, sorry, singular subject. So you'll have singular verb, that is everyone is present, so you will say everyone is the subject and it's singular, so we will write is. So we will write is with it. Everyone is present today. So example is everyone has done his or her homework. When we're saying everyone has done his or her homework, it means that we are considering all as one unit. Then the next is somebody has left her purse. Somebody is again indefinite pronoun. As I told you, with indefinite pronouns, what we have to do, we will use singular verb. That's the rule of subject verb agreement. So you will not say no one is coming to party, rather saying no one are coming to party. One of the girls has lost her purse. Among, group of girls, only one has lost her purse. So keep this rule in your mind when you're using indefinite pronouns in your daily life or while writing English. Some indefinite pronouns, such as all, some, are singular or plural depending on what they are referring to. Is the thing referred to countable or not? Is the thing referred to countable or not? Such pronouns. Some indefinite pronouns. Sorry, I guess something has happened to my internet. I hope you all can hear me now. Some indefinite pronouns, such as all, some. Sometimes they are singular or plural depending on what they are referring. If words like some and all, words like some and all, they they could be used with singular verb as well as with plural verb, but it depends on whether the thing we are talking, whether the refer to countable noun or uncountable noun. For example, some of the beads are missing. Now sentences starting with some, and we have read this rule that when some is there, sometimes we'll use singular verb, or all is there, sometimes we use plural verb. But they said if the thing is countable, for instance beads are countable, so we will say some of the beads are missing, so our verb would be plural. But if we are using sentences starting with some, but the thing, if we are referring to is uncountable. For instance, some of the water is gone. Now, water is not countable. You cannot count water. So, we would say some of the water is gone. I hope that this is clear. Again, I'm repeating myself. Some and word all, these indefinite pronouns, word all and some. They sometimes use singular verb, they sometimes use plural verb. They said it is dependent on whether the thing they are referring, the thing that is countable. If it's countable, then we will use plural verb. That, for instance, beads are countable, but water is not countable, so we will use singular verb, that is. So this is, it's pretty simple. If you'll pay little attention, you can easily understand these rules. Okay. The next is, next rule is, on the other hand, they are saying one indefinite pronoun, none, that can be either singular or plural. It often doesn't matter whether you use a singular or plural verb unless something else in the sentence determines its number. Now, there is another indefinite pronoun, that is none, and they are saying that indefinite pronoun none, um, that can be either singular or plural. It depends that in the sentence, if there is something, you can use it as singular or as plural. But if your sentence is determining its number, then you will choose whether you will use singular verb or plural verb. For instance, let's see the examples. None of you claims responsibility for this incident. None of you claims responsibility for this incident. Now it's correct. None of you claim responsibility for this incident. In both first two sentences, the sentence structure, it doesn't determine any sort of number. If we'll read the sentence, so in the beginning they are saying none of you claims responsibility for this incident. So both claims and claim, they are okay, they are correct. None of the students have done their homework. Now we are talking about none is there, but we have mentioned the number, determine the number students. So we are talking about more than one students, so we will use a have rather than has. In the first two sentences, no number has been mentioned. None of you claims. So no number has mentioned. So claims and claim both are okay. But in the next, none of the students have done their homework. None of the students. Now they have determined the number more than one students. So rather writing has, we will write have. If we'll write has, then it would be incorrect. Next is rule number 7. Phrases such as together with, as well as, and along with are not same as and. So people usually they mix up these things, that and as well as. They both words are having same meaning. So they are saying phrases such as together with, as well as, along with. If you'll read the sentence, together with, as well as, along with, they are having same meaning. So if you are having these three words together with, as well as, along with, they are saying phrases such as together with, as well as, and sorry students, my connection is having some issue. So do not consider these three words together with, as well as, and along with, as, and. They are different from and. The phrases introduced by as well as or along with will modify the The phrases introduced by as well as or along with will modify earlier word may or in this case, but it doesn't compound the subject as the word and would do. For instance, we again will start this thing again. Again, I'm repeating myself. Students, do not mix up and with word together with as well as along with, and they are saying the phrase introduced by as well as or along with will modify the earlier word or may in this case, but it does not compound the subject as the word and would know and would do. For instance, the mayor as well as his brothers is going to the prison. This when you are using as well as, you are not considering it as and. The mayor and as well as his brothers, we are counting them one unit, is going to prison. Then mayor and his brothers are going to jail. So as well as and they both are having different meaning. The ship with its crew was lost, right? Comma is there. The ship with its crew was lost. Silver as well as cotton, punctuation is there, has fallen in price. Sanskrit as well as Arabic was taught there. Justice as well as mercy allows it. The guidance as well as the love of mother was wanting. If you'll see the last sentence first, do not mix as well as along with and together with and, you will use singular verb with them. Example is mayor as well as his brothers is going to prison, we'll count them as one unit. When we are saying the mayor and his brothers are going to jail, so you will use plural verb, that is are, right? The ship with its crew was lost. Silver as well as cotton has fallen in the price. Silver as well as cotton. We'll consider them as well as is there, so that's why we'll use singular verb, that is has. Sanskrit as well as Arabic was taught there. Sanskrit, after Sanskrit as well as is used, then Arabic, so we will say was rather than were. Justice as well as mercy allows it. Now justice, after justice we have used as well as, then mercy. So rather writing allow it, as we said that when we are considering one singular subject, we will add s or es, so we'll write allows. The guidance as well as the love of mother was wanting. So rather writing were wanting, we will write was, because we are considering it as one unit. I hope things are pretty clear so far. If you want more explanation, I can explain you. Okay. Now the eighth rule is the pronouns either and neither are singular and required singular verb even though they seem to be referring in a sense to two things. If your sentence is having word neither or either, if they are referring to two subjects or more than two subjects, you will always remember if there is neither and either in the sentence, your verb will be singular. Neither of the two traffic lights is working. Now they are referring to two traffic lights, they have mentioned the number, but the word neither is there. So as far as word neither is there, your verb would be is. If you will write neither of the two traffic lights are working, so that is incorrect. Are is a plural verb, so you'll be using singular verb rather using plural verb. Neither is fine with me, sorry, either is fine with me. So either and neither, whenever you will use them in your in your writing, you need to use singular verb, that is, has, was. It depends on the nature of your subject, whether it's singular or plural. Okay, 8 rules we have done so far, and I guess if we'll do all the rules today, that would be little tricky for you all. So what we'll do, I'll stop here. We'll revise all the 8 rules again. for your better understanding before finishing this lecture. And in the next class we'll study from ninth rule till the last rule. I don't want you all to get confused. Be relaxed. We'll do the exercises, different exercises, and these exercises will definitely help you all to get the proper understanding of all these rules, right? Okay, again, in the end, I would like to just quickly will revise what we have done today. We talked about what is subject verb agreement. When your subject is singular, your verb must be singular. When your subject is plural, your verb must be plural, right? On the other hand, we talked about that most important thing while selecting your verb, choosing your verb, one should know how to identify the subject. First you need to, what is subject? We talked about this, that a person, idea, or thing that has been discussed or described in the sentence is actually subject. And if you, once you'll identify your subject is singular, plural, then only you can identify which sort of verb, what sort of verb you'll be using. Then verb, I have explained you that action performed by the subject is known as verb. Then the first rule was, if this verb is singular, your subject is singular, your verb would be singular. For instance, my brother, brother is singular subject, so your verb is. Then this, my sister, sisters is plural subject, so your verb is are. Then gold and silver, we said when silver, when we are using and, so we, what we'll do, we will use plural verb, that is, for instance, are, do, have, are, I, sorry, were. If you'll see in these sentences, first, in first sentence verb is plural because and is there, are, do, then have, wisdom, have, often, then are, your father, and then were. Third rule, we said that when we consider when and is there, but we are considering two things as one idea of mind or as one thing, we are considering them as one unit, so we will use singular verb. And now this is a little tricky. I told you that time and tide, basically they both are referring to the same idea, that they don't stop or they don't wait for anyone. So we will write, rather writing wait, we will write waits. Horse and carriage is always together, so we will write is, rather using verb are. Bread and butter all counted as one unit, so we will write are. Then fourth rule was, when we are using indefinite pronouns like anyone, everyone, someone, no one, nobody, we always use singular verb. That is the rule of English language. So everyone is present, rather saying everyone are present. Everyone has done his or her homework, rather saying everyone have done his or her homework. So rather using have and are and were, we will use is, has, was. That they are saying, if we are using some and all in a sentence, it depends that whether the thing they are referring, it's countable. If it's countable, then you will use plural verb. It's not countable, then you will use singular verb. For instance, you can't count water, you can't measure water, so what you'll do, you'll use singular verb, that is. And beads, or if they are referring to something that is countable, for instance books or pens, so you will use plural verb. Sixth is sixth rule is, when you are using none. None is indefinite pronoun. It claims responsibility. For instance, if the number is mentioned, then you will use singular verb, and if number is not mentioned, then you can use it as singular and plural. It depends on the nature of the sentence. And if number is given, for instance, none of the students, now they are talking about more than one students, then rather writing has done their homework, you will write have done their homework. Have is a plural verb. So they are saying, when you are using none in your sentence, it basically depends on the nature of the sentence, whether you'll use singular verb or a plural verb. Seventh rule was, when you are using as well as, along with, and together with, you will use singular verb. and do not mix it with and. If you're using and, you will use plural verb. If you are using it with if you're using as well as in your sentence, or along with, or together with, you will use plural verb. Last rule we did today is either and neither. Whether they are saying, if they have mentioned the number, still you will use singular verb with them. I showed you the video so that you can get better understanding. Today we are stopping here till 8th rule, and inshallah in the next class we'll finish the rules and we'll practice it again and again, so that you can have proper knowledge about subject verb agreement. Till then, I want you all to stay home, stay safe, listen the recording carefully, write down your questions, any sort of questions. I'm open for the questions, and that's it. Take care, kids. If you have any query, we will discuss in your interactive session. Goodbye.